James O'Keefe, like most other conservative journalists who find themselves exposing stories, finds themselves under investigation by the Joe Biden tyrannical pseudo-monarchy right now and the rotting bag of bones in the White House. Listen to James O'Keefe explaining on Sean Hannity's show last night what happened to him. Check this out.
They spent about over 2 hours in my apartment, and they confiscated 2 of my iPhones. And again, these phones contained a lot of source information and reporter notes on them. These are serious First Amendment issues and donor information to our news foundation. So, yeah, it's troubling. I asked to speak with my attorney a few times. They allowed me to do that. But I was kind of in a state of shock, frankly. I can't believe this is happening.
Folks, listen, as a person who worked as a federal agent, GS 1811 myself, for over a decade, it pains me to see brothers and sisters in a brother and sister law enforcement agency in the FBI descend into total madness and become tools of the Democrat Party. I never thought I'd say that. Never. But the FBI right now clearly has a culture problem. And the next candidate who wins the Republican nomination, if they do not pledge to a house cleaning of federal law enforcement at the top, they should not ever get our support. Any candidate who runs, for that matter, I should correct that, for the Republican nomination for president or for anywhere. It is time for a house cleaning at the FBI like we haven't seen. It is clear from what we know up to this point that this looks like another hatchet job. Now, folks, this is a culture issue at the FBI. Let me just explain briefly. Give me a moment here, please. When I first joined the Secret Service back in 1999, we went through training. And I remember specifically in training that we were taught that there were these things called protest zones, where you would set up a zone at a site where the president went to, whoever the president was, Clinton at the time when I started, and that was the area people were allowed to protest in. What's the problem, folks? That was clearly unconstitutional, but it had been taught over and over and over again until someone sued. And the court said, wait, you guys are teaching that there are protest zones? That is totally unconstitutional. And then the culture changed when they got sued, and then they started teaching there will be no protest zones. It was a culture problem. Some guy, this is how this happens in federal law enforcement, and the FBI gets captured by big government pseudo-monarchs like Joe Biden, right? This is how it happens. Some guy, guarantee you, 40, 50 years ago in the Secret Service at a site came up with an idea. Hey, we got a lot of protesters. I got it. I'm telling you, this is how it happened. Okay, just put them in a zone over there. And then another guy saw it and said, oh, that's a good idea. And then another guy said, that's a good idea. And then it makes its way into the culture and the training. And you think it's constitutional when it's not. Someone sued and said, that doesn't sound constitutional. You can't tell protesters to stay here and the general public stay there. And it got tossed. And the Secret Service never taught it again. This is what's going on in the FBI now. There is a culture in their training, imbued in the agents now, that they are somehow the law enforcement arm of the Democrat Party that is not going to change until there is a lawsuit hoisted upon them or there's mass change at the top. None of it's going to change. This is a culture issue. It has to change. But here's the angle of the story on O'Keefe that a lot of people seem to have missed. Showing you again how the Biden administration cannot be trusted with anything. They are liars. They have always been liars. Listen, every politician lies, okay? Republican, Democrat, I get that. I am not absolving the Republican Party, any president of the Republican stripe from a lot of people lie. My issue with the Biden administration is they lie about everything and blatantly, and they are never, ever called out, ever. Here's the angle I'm talking about. Remember this story by the AP, Eric Tucker, from June of 2021, obviously earlier this year. Remember Aragino, Attorney General in name only, says they'll no longer seize reporter records? The Justice Department, this is in June, said Saturday will no longer secretly obtain reporters' records during leak investigations. a policy shift that abandons a practice decried by news organizations and press freedom groups. The reversal follows a pledge last month by President Joe Biden, who said it was simply wrong to seize journalists' records, and he would not permit the Justice Department to continue the practice. Remember, Joe, you remember that one?
Yeah, I certainly do. Yes, I do.
I know, because we covered it on the show, and it's kind of weird how O'Keefe's a journalist, but he's a conservative, and Biden said it was simply wrong. That's a quote, direct quote, to seize journalists' records, but not when those journalists involve the seizing of records of the journalists that may involve Joe Biden's family, like Ashley Biden. Kind of really weird, right? Really weird, right, buddy? Really, really weird. Where's the media on that? Oh, is it because it's James O'Keefe, a conservative? Is that why? Because I remember specifically the Biden-Obama administration, Obama-Biden administration, doesn't really matter. They were both goofballs. I remember that AP spoke out when it was their records that got seized. Justice Department secretly obtains AP phone records. Look at the date. May of 2013. Who was the president? Barack Obama. Remember when they seized a bunch of phone records from the left-leaning Associated Press and everybody lost their minds? Took our phone records. All the left-wing media was like, you can't do that. Now all of a sudden it's O'Keefe. Everybody's quiet, even though Biden said it was, quote, simply wrong. Yeah, real head scratcher, isn't it? Strange how that happens, isn't it? The Obama-Biden cabal has a history of attacking freedom of the press and freedoms of the press. When are you media people going to wake up? You are useful idiots in an operation to evaporate the Constitution like an Alka-Seltzer tablet in water. You're part of it. When are you going to wake up? You're next. You think Biden cares about you? He was vice president when the administration went after AP, a left-leaning outlet. You're next. Wait, let's do the creepy Biden. You're next. The Reverend Kane. You're next. Don't say we didn't warn you.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show.